What's going on with Russian healthcare system 2 years after Russia invaded Ukraine? Well, everything's fine. Everything's going according to the plan, except for four little things. Not really important. Shortage of medicines, shortages of medical equipment, most importantly, shortages of doctors and medical personnel, and last but not least, lack of money. Let's take a closer look at Russian healthcare today in early 2024. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find here propaganda, BS, or lies, only truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions because I am a human being after all. What are the main things for comfortable living for people in any country? That's the question I started asking myself before, doing the stream. The basic stuff. In my opinion, there are four of these things. They are healthcare, education, security, and ability to earn good, honest living to support oneself and his family. And what is number one out of these four things? Healthcare. I am father, and from the position of fathers, nothing can be worse than seeing your loved one in pain. Your wife, your children, your parents, everything else instantly becomes unimportant. Your work, education, anything. If your child is sick, your life narrows down to one goal that instantly consumes everything, replaces all other goals. And that goal is for your child or spouse or loved one to recover and be healthy again. And I think I'm not the only one who thinks so. Well, we've got to have good healthcare system no matter where we live in any country. It's like a foundation. So what's going on with Russian healthcare now? Before I start talking about today, let's take a look at yesteryear or yesteryears. I'll be very short, 1 minute, I promise. Was Russian healthcare good before the start of the war? Well, it was acceptable in general. And in some places, I'm hinting you, in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, it was excellent. But overall, far from perfect, but acceptable. And I won't be giving you my subjective opinion, no. Let me quote Russia's Attorney General Igor Krasnov. I quote, "A decent level of medical services in Russia is encountering same old problems. A shortage of personnel and diagnostic equipment, worn out facilities of hospitals and polyclinics, medical clinics," I unquote. And he wasn't just saying that. He was saying that at his annual address to the upper chamber of Russian parliament in June of 2020. So I tend to agree with Russia's Attorney General. Overall, Russian healthcare system acceptable, but ridden with problems. It was. And folks, I am a witness. I used it myself in Moscow. Perfect. Like if I was in Switzerland. I don't know. In the UK, whatever. In Rostov, to get good healthcare in Rostov, I had to have connections. That's how the system worked. To give you a real-time example, real-life example, people went to Russian hospitals for minor treatments and emergencies. We all did. For example, I sprained my ankle once, and I went to a local hospital in Moscow, a special hospital, Travmpunkt, and I got excellent treatment. Free. In Rostov, not so excellent. Accidents happened to me in Rostov. Worse, but I got some health care. But if it was something major, say cancer, knock on wood, back surgery, heart surgery, brain surgery, God forbid, they, Russians tried to go to other countries by all means possible. Although medicine abroad is sometimes thousands of times more expensive than in Russia, especially surgeries. In one case, a friend of our family sold an apartment, the sole apartment they owned and lived in, to have a surgery for her husband in Israel. He had curable cancer, and he had surgery, and he was cured. So that's just the example. I have a few people I know went to have surgeries abroad. 2 people with lower back problems had surgeries in Germany and Israel. My niece had a hearing problem. Her parents took her to Germany, and the local doctors, the Germans, they helped her. One person went to Turkey to have a tumor removed from inside her skull, and some other cases. Like I said, someone had a cancerous tumor removed in Israel and so forth. So no one had faith in Russian doctors and Russian medicine if it was something serious, and for a good reason. Well, now let's fast forward to 24 months after Russia invaded Ukraine to now. What's happening? Let me divide my answer into 4 parts: medical equipment, drugs, medicine, money, and people. And I'll start with medical equipment. And I think among all other problems, medical equipment is the lightest one. Foreign-made medical equipment isn't supplied to Russia any longer, and existing equipment is not so regularly serviced, maintained, and repaired. More than half of doctors, 52 to be exact, report problems with medical equipment in 2024. There are not enough computer tomography machines, magnetic resonance tomography machines, ultrasound, and ventilation devices. It's really difficult to purchase spare parts for existing equipment. And, you need to service, you need some materials and so forth. And if equipment is made overseas, not in Russia, then they're out of luck. But in my opinion, it's a problem, but it's not the biggest problem. There are millions of medical machines acquired, bought, imported from America, Europe, South Korea, and Japan over the last 30 years. Worst comes to worst, some can be cannibalized for spare parts. And let's imagine we don't have any machines. In the past, doctors didn't even use the machines. They didn't have them. Quality of Russian medicine will be lower. But hey, we've seen worse, and it's not the end of the world. And yes, many people will be sick, and they will suffer, and they will die. And they don't need to if there's a adequate supply of all the equipment. But hey, this is Russia 2024, the country that is doing aggression to Ukraine. So, on top of that, Russian politicians promised people new discoveries in the field of medicine and new domestic equipment, new technology, new equipment will be manufactured and coming up soon. Well, they started promising at first, but then they shut up now. You know how they explained new technologies coming? Lack of competition. Western companies left, and now local businesses will be free of pressure. I remember they were saying something like, our companies will breathe easier. Local businesses will breathe easier. They were under so much pressure against, the Western companies were so far ahead, they weren't letting Russian companies coming out with their own stuff. And now Russian market is empty for the grabs of the local companies. Wait and you will see miracles. Well, it's been 24 months. We have not seen miracles. I'd say negative miracles that we've seen, but nothing in the field of medicine, medical technology. Little do Russian politicians know that competition is actually the driving force behind technological advancements, including medical field. Russia didn't have any of own technology because it never really had free market economy. For the last 20 years, perhaps it did, out of a few hundred years. There was lack of competition. The USSR, what competition? Putin's Russia, what competition? And now, there's no competition whatsoever. But Russian politicians think otherwise. They think that lack of competition leads to better technologies, discoveries, breakthroughs, etc. Well, my message to Russian politicians: good luck, idiots! Medical equipment falling apart isn't Russia's biggest problem. Shortages of drugs is much more dangerous. And I'm jumping to problem number 2, drugs. Drugs, I mean medicine. Before the war, Russia had 2 kinds of drugs: imported and domestically made, produced. Imported drugs were mostly modern, cutting-edge stuff, expensive, but working. Breakthrough medical discoveries, all that was made in the evil, no good West, that is ready to collapse and fall apart at any time now. Or at least that's what Russian propaganda is telling anyone from TV, Russian TV. Domestically, they were also making drugs, but those drugs were usually old Soviet medicines. I don't know any medical field where Russian researchers, Russia was leading the way, so to speak. It was always following. After the war, hey, why do you need technology if you have oil money, right? You can buy everything you want from all over the world. That's pretty much Russia's mentality. After the war started, Western companies started leaving Russian medical market. There weren't any sanctions declared, placed in the industry of healthcare on Russia, but foreign pharmaceutical companies were putting stop to sales of their drugs in Russia, and they started doing it in a very elegant way, but not relicensing drugs, their products. You see, in Russia, to sell drugs, your products, that you manufacture someplace else, not in Russia, one must receive a license. And it's a fairly complicated process, long and expensive. And one must do it every so often, every few years. I think a license is given for 2 or 3 years, something like that. And it's hard to initially receive the license, and it's much easier to renew it. The renew is basically an automatic process. You have to pay for it, though. Well, guess what? Western manufacturers, producers, simply stopped relicensing their products, their drugs. They started slowly but surely, it's a slow process, shortening their product lines, cutting their product lines. The experts, and there are experts in this field in Russia, the experts started talking about it when the Western companies started announcing their departure from Russia. And at first, no one really cared, as the country had bigger problems at the time. But then, bit by bit, shortages started appearing. I remember in March of 2022, my wife all of a sudden came to me and said that she couldn't buy hormones to support her thyroid. That's unheard before, I called my friend to Kyrgyzstan, and he's a surgeon in the past, and now he is a head of a large Kyrgyz pharma company. I asked him for help, but he didn't believe me at first. Impossible, he said. Impossible! That's very basic stuff. It's readily available in Russia. You can't have shortages of it. That's what he said. But we did. We did have shortages. In August 2023, by August of 2023, last year, The following major diseases were without Western medicines to treat: cancer, HIV, Alzheimer, you know what I mean, hepatitis C, and schizophrenia. In August 2023, Russian Ministry of Health sent a warning letter to all medical facilities in Russia, warning that 196 foreign medicines were not supplied to Russia any longer. As one Russian expert said then, curing a disease was going to soon to become a sole responsibility of a patient. Curing of a disease was going to be placed in her own hands. Now, fast forward to March 2024. The most acute shortages include, guess what? Simple stuff: antibiotics, amoxiclav, ampicillin, augmentin, josamicin, clarithromycin, flemoclav, flemoxin, as well as, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce them in English, but I think they sound pretty much the same. It's basic, strong, but basic antibiotics. It's not rocket science. So this is fire going on, okay? People need antibiotics, and they're simply not sold in Russia. Antidepressants are not sold in Russia, such as amitriptyline and Zoloft. Neuroleptics, prescription medicine, among others. It's prescribed to patients with schizophrenia. Etosuximed, gabapentin. That stuff you cannot buy. In addition, doctors see a shortage of blood pressure medication, vaccines, basic anti-inflammatory drugs, including Nurofen. Anesthesiologists reporting shortages of funds for anesthesia and anesthesia itself. The Western anesthesia, the best in the world, is gone, not in Russia. There have been cases of fist fights happening at pharmacies when some people pay for the last pack of medicine and other people come and try to, get it from them, On my memory, recently there have been at least 2 fist fights among older people reported. The shortages are really hard to count now because Russian government, guess what? They have unofficially banned any publications or mentionings of drug shortages in Russian mass media. It started happening at around October, and I clearly remember that time because I monitor things every day. So in September, in August, newspapers, internet sites were full of warnings that Russia is running out of medicines. And then October of last year, 2023, everything magically stopped, just like that. And you can smell that Russian government got involved saying, hey, you can't say stuff like that. People will be getting upset and scared. We don't need that before the elections. But it's one thing not to talk about it, and it's another thing to go to pharmacy and try to buy it, and it's not there. Okay, but the Russian government is telling everyone everywhere from all outlets that there are no shortages. Yes, some Western medicines are missing, but you can replace them with domestically made stuff, and you can't. Have you seen the movie Dallas Buyers Club? Well, this is Russia Buyers Club. It's pretty bad. You can't really hide. You can't ban regular people to talk about shortages of medicine because that concerns their lives directly. How can you forbid a parent whose child needs insulin and it's nowhere to be found to not talk about it? Okay, it's crazy. So, but again, Russian government keeps telling everyone that, hey, no shortages, everything is fine, everything is going according to the plan, Putin's plan. Well, Russian companies, unfortunately, cannot replace the medicines that, the Western companies pulled out of Russia. They cannot produce generics even. Because that's another problem. Because there's no active ingredients. You see, that's how a drug is made. It's a mix of active ingredients, okay? And it has to be a precise ratio. And active ingredients are also, they're foundation of any drug. They are not produced in Russia. Because Russia is so advanced, Russia is so great, Russia is so best in the world that doesn't even produce active ingredients. If it does, only old Soviet stuff. And guess what? Foreign companies that Russian companies used to buy active ingredients from, they have stopped supplying Russia active ingredients. Even India has cut exporting its own active ingredients to Russian companies. There are two problems. First problem is there are no Western medicines, there are shortages. And the second problem is there's no Russian medicines, there's shortages, I don't know. So I'm pretty sure there will be plenty of placebos in the market. That's the Russian way. And that's actually the third problem. Whatever is left, whatever is still sold, and I'm not saying that, there are still drugs are sold, but some very important ones are in shortage. So whatever is left on sale and is sold freely in Russia has become hugely expensive. Prices have gone up so much, doubled, tripled on some occasions. Even for Russian-made drugs, old Soviet stuff, they become unaffordable for many Russians. Before I jump to number 3, let me take a sip of this wonderful English breakfast tea. This is goodness. English people, thank you so much for this. Love Twinings and Taylor's at Harrogate. English breakfast is the best. Thank you. I also would like to ask you a few things. Please help my channel by, number 1, pressing the like button. Can you press it right now? Please, that helps a lot. There are 459 likes right now. Will I say any more? Number 2, please share this message in your social media accounts. Number 3, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so you will not miss any important updates. And the most important way to support the channel is to comment. Please let me know what you think. Ask me a question. If you have nothing to say, nothing to comment, please leave a couple words, couple lines of encouragement. I love reading those. Actually, that's why I do the channel. I hope that you find what I say important and useful. And if you tell it to me, that makes me happy. Thank you so very much. And now let's jump to problem number 3. And that's simple as it gets. Shortage of money. Russia's federal budget funding for education and medicine is so-called frozen. And that's the government's term. Plain Russian for this is decreased. In real terms, taking into the account inflation, it has been significantly reduced for 2024 for this year, and it'll be even less next year and the year after next year and so forth. Russian medicine, free medicine, there are two kinds of medicines in Russia, free and private, state and private. And free medicine is funded by the taxpayers, by their money, by federal budget. and the cost of national healthcare, you know, budget are planned to be cut by 10% from 321 billion rubles to 289 billion rubles. They basically cutting all programs that exist within this budget article. The cost of, for example, let's take there's a project called modernization of primary health care. The funding of it will be reduced by 14% to 81 billion rubles. Another program called Fight Against Cancer will be decreased by 8% to 147 billion rubles, and so forth. Most of programs within healthcare budget have been cut. Funding for them has been cut. What does it mean? Let me quote a Russian senator. His name is Alexei Kuriny, a member of the Health Committee of Russian Parliament. I quote, "All this means that there will be no breakthroughs in increasing salaries for doctors. There will be no new infrastructure, preferential drug provisions will be reduced. The construction of cancer centers in Russia will be reduced or halted. The new perinatal centers are no longer planned and expected. Healthcare will remain without dynamics, which means that national health care programs to increase life expectancy and reduce mortality cannot be implemented," unquote. I think he's either misinformed or merely lying. I mean, we all understand the dynamics will be there. The dynamics will be there. Only the dynamics will be negative. And you know what it means for Russian people, for Russians? Not good. So, in Russia, from now and on, there is gross underfunding of national health care. No wonder. The state has other important industries to flood with money, taxpayers' money. The military-industrial complex, that is producing death to the Ukrainians. That's really important to Russia now. It's much more important than education and its own healthcare, okay? The death for Ukraine is the priority number one. The missiles, tanks, planes, ships, and so forth, bullets, ammo. Gosh. The forecast for Russian healthcare? Negative. Number 4, shortage of people. It's really easy to explain this problem. And at the same time, it's very difficult to fix it. It takes generations to fix it. Russia has been losing many doctors. And this is how. Many have been mobilized and thrown to the war. How many doctors and nurses have been mobilized? How many remain alive? How many have been killed? We have no clue. They're not telling us. They're not telling anything of this matter. All I can say is poor guys and girls. They really had no choice. Because if you're a doctor or a nurse in Russia, if any kind of medical professional, you are automatically a subject of mobilization, a subject of the government's order. If the government orders you to go and fight, to go and help soldiers, to go and heal soldiers, you have no choice. You have to comply. There's one way out of it, is to quit and leave the country before they catch you. And guess what? Many doctors have left Russia. I know for sure because, you should come and check Tashkent, Uzbekistan. you will be amazed how many doctors, computer programmers, developers, whatever, IT specialists, and engineers there are here. Doctors, so many, all kinds of doctors. There is a separate group just for doctors. They hang out together, they meet, they discuss their career path, they discuss what to do next, and so forth. All doctors who left Russia, and most flew in September and October of 2022, they all found jobs. They all work in the local Uzbek healthcare system. They are welcomed with arms wide open. They bring new knowledge. They bring new energy. They bring new experience. Most of them are highly qualified. Qualified compared to the local ones. They are at least on par. And what Russian doctors are doing here, they're simply curing people, curing patients. And this is just Uzbekistan. And Uzbekistan is not the biggest Russian relocant community, the refugee community. It's, one of the smaller ones. Georgia, Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan have thousands and thousands of doctors. Europe, America. Doctors are very, very determined people. I know quite a few doctors who are applying to take the board exam to get qualification in the United States so they can practice medicine in the USA, in Canada, in Europe, in Australia. It's not easy to do, but you know what? Doctors do it, and I'm pretty sure most will reach their goals. And I've heard of cases that some doctors are actually changing profession because in Russia they are so overworked and underpaid. They have to work for themselves now and for that guy who is in Ukraine right now. What's a recent example? My mom had an accident. I made a live stream. I'm going to put a link right here. So please check it out. And if you have not done so yet. So she had an accident. She bumped her head and she had lost lots of blood. She cut her skin. So she had to go to an emergency clinic. And the queue there was 6 to 7 hours. And a lot of people were in pain. And a lot of people, she said a few people were screaming. Okay, and then there was one guy, I think he had a broken leg or something like that, who was in pain. And he was screaming at the doctor. And there was only like one doctor helping him out. And he was falling asleep. He had worked so much before his stuff. Clearly, that clinic was understaffed. And that doctor was just walking by in a hurry. And the guy in pain started screaming, how you are not helping people and, you are just not doing your job. And I'm going to complain to Vladimir Putin. And that's possible. Yeah, you can write a letter to the president of Russia. And the guy stopped, and that's what mom told me. He stopped and he looked at him and said, well, why don't you go ahead and do that? You complain to Putin and have Putin come and cure your leg. So I wasn't there to witness the conversation, but from what I understood, it went something like that. And the guy was absolutely right because he had to work for himself and for that guy who is attending the soldiers in Ukraine. And, a human being can only take so much. If you are overworked and underpaid, doctors are underpaid in Russia. I've seen a dozen of addresses, doctors in provincial clinics and hospitals get together and record on camera address to Vladimir Putin or to President's Chief of Staff's office. And they complain that they are underpaid. They promised one pay, they're not paid. By the way, in average, a doctor receives monthly salary about $600 in Russia. So not that much. So I have seen at least a dozen video. It's called a video address, where the doctors are asking for help, basically, and they threaten, if we're not helped, we're gonna quit. So a lot of doctors are changing professions. Since there are 4 problems in Russian healthcare system right now, and they're big ones. Number 1 is shortage of equipment. Number 2, shortage of drugs. Number 3, shortage of money. Number 4, shortage of people. And in my mind, it's a perfect storm in Russian healthcare industry, but that's artificial perfect storm. It's the perfect storm that Russian leadership has created artificially by their own hands. And it is growing. It's getting stronger. And the effects of it will be seen. They are seen already. Okay, people don't have access to basic drugs. I wonder if soon they will make statistics of how many people die in Russia secret. They make everything secret these days. And that's going to be a secret as well. But again, it's really hard to keep a secret from a parent or a son or a spouse who goes to buy a drug in a pharmacy and can't find. A patient who goes to get an MRT in a local hospital and finds out that a wait line is 2 months, just like my mom did a few days ago. It's really hard to keep secret from them, you know. So, current state of Russian medicine, in my mind, is a disaster. Now, take Moscow and St. Petersburg out of that equation because their healthcare systems are independent and they're doing much stronger, okay? I'm talking about Russia, not Moscow and St. Pete. State of medicine is a disaster, and it's not, disaster is not coming, it's already here. It's already there in Russia. And you know what amazes me? More and more, that Russians are still silent. No one is talking about that. Healthcare affects lives of Russians directly. Healthcare, food, and safety. And yet, they are not talking about it. They're still silent. Wow. Friends, thank you very much for coming. This has been my message. Before I turn the live stream chat on, I'd like to make an announcement. I have been thinking how I can provide more of content, useful, interesting information that is coming from Russia. And the dilemma I have, the problem I have is there's too much information. I can only do one live stream a day with one topic. And on Friday, I do crazy news update, but there are so many news that I have to cut and leave 90% of the news off and present you only about 10%. So I decided to not discard all those news. I decided to put them on Patreon, and I'll start with 9 news per day. There will be 3 updates, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, and 3 at night after daily stream. The news I find important, I find interesting, and I found crucial to know about what's happening in Russia. News you will not find on your TV, in your media, and most likely you will not find on Russian media. So if you want to get those, come to Patreon, become a patron, and you'll have full access. Thank you so very much. I would like to ask you to carry on to the live stream chat. Please let me know what you think of my message today. Let's talk about it. I will try to answer all your questions. Live stream chat is on. And if you're here for the first time, I'd like to remind you that Inside Russia has the best moderation team in the world: Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potter, Amir Fazad, and Dirk Misler are the great people and the best moderators one can find. Any community can have. Folks, thank you very much. Fantastic to see you all. And you are here again to watch my back, to make this community clean, pleasant. So all members, dear members of the community, if you're here for the first time, again, if you are usual suspect, you know who you are. I would like to ask you to thank moderators for their fantastic job. Not job, work they do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see Lorna is here, Mommy K, Dirk. Amir and Bob S and Harry Potter are with us, even only in our minds and in our hearts. Thank you, usual suspects. Let me remind you, if you want me to see your message easier, please put it in all caps and put inside Russia after @ so I see your message highlighted in orange. Much easier for me to see, and I usually read those messages, those questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see a super chat from Mac from Switzerland. Thank you, friend. What do you think would have to happen for ordinary people, including those who believe in Putin, to have enough and protest? That's one tough question right at the start. Thank you. Mentally stimulating question, you know. I think there are some people, and quite a few of them, perhaps even majority of Russian, who will not stand up and protest under current circumstances. Something so extraordinary must happen. I don't even know what it would be. There is another part of Russian society, those who think, those who critically think, those who have logic. They understand what's happening to Russia, and they understand who's responsible. And they are ready to protest. I mean, look how many people came out to support, well, not support, but to say farewell to Alexei Navalny. And I think there are tens and hundreds more, 100 times more stayed home because they physically were not able to come and say farewell. So some Russians, nothing will make them stand up, and some, they are ready. That's my answer. Thank you. Baker Stock, howdy. Pamela J. I'm going to be reading those in caps and highlighted in orange. Thank you, friends. Terry, Brother Randall, 2 minutes to midnight, howdy. Mr. Kaliskin from Chicago, Sam K, the legend, Bob, Tom W, Jodes Rames, Gloria, thank you so much. Suzanne Samuelson Ree, Veronica Mifsad, Kevin Baker, Baker Stock. Mommy, it's good to have you back. Definitely missed you. Would you please press the heart button to salute Mommy K? I just did a few times. I hope you seen my hearts flying. A9S2W5, as far as I understand, there are not sanctions preventing supply of agriculture, food, medical equipment, or medicines for the general population of Russia. I know that there are definitely no sanctions preventing supply of medical equipment and drugs, but the companies, the producers, they don't want. It's not they're forced not to supply stuff to Russia. They just don't want to do that out of their ethical codes, moral codes, I guess. Um, Agricultural products, I'm not sure. Well, there's plenty of food supplied to Russia from Turkey. Turkey is the food basket of Russia. China, I know, supplies lots of fruits and veggies. Israel used to supply a lot. I'm not sure. I think they've cut the supplies now. Faith, howdy. Jukes D, thank you so much for super chat. Support is much appreciated, although no message, but the message is heard and well received. Thank you, appreciate it. And Nixie, thank you from Norway. Sending my love to Norway. Paul Wright, thank you, inside Russia. What you said is true. My niece in Mitishi had a bad asthma attack and couldn't get a simple breathing treatment. Paul, thank you so much for your support, and thank you for proving my words. Trust me, I double-checked. I fact-checked, and I talked to people, and I read a lot, and analyzed, and put pieces of puzzle together. So what I said today is true, and thank you for confirming that. But what really surprised me is that in Mytishi is part of Moscow, and until now I thought that Moscow is supplied with everything. That's the case in Russia. Moscow, even in the USSR, Moscow had better life than rest of the country. Better medicine, more food, more variety of food, fewer lines, and so forth, you know. And I would think that in Mytishi, everything would be available. But I guess if they can get a simple breathing treatment, then things are even worse than I thought. Thank you, Paul. Sam K, the legend. I'm attempting to convert you into an Englishman with English breakfast tea. Well, you need no converting. I'm, that's what I've been drinking for the past 3 years, I think. English tea. This is good. Let me tell you, you people are the best. It's like you know how to enjoy life. Life is better with English breakfast. Let me tell you. I'm not sponsored by any company. I love it. Someone sent me a message saying, hey, you have a coffee mug. You must be drinking coffee, and I'm going to drink tea. No. This is not coffee. I never drink one coffee in the morning, and not every day. A cappuccino. I drink tea all the time. Thank you. Again. So you don't need to try to convert me. I've converted myself. Mom, thank you so much. Mom has recovered. She's going to take her stitches off tomorrow. She confirmed me a couple hours ago. She's feeling fine. I'll have her take picture of herself. She hasn't had a shower, and she had shower, but not. She didn't wash her hair for 13 days, and then she absolutely hates it. She wants to have a shower, wash her hair. Other than that, everything's fine, Darth Lada, first of all, thank you for the service you provided to the channel in the past. Thank you for being a great mod. I know who you are, Darth Lada. Thank you for your support. Inside Russian Mammy K, hoping both moms are doing well with speedy recovery for both. Inside Russia, send mom some flowers. You know what? I will do so. As soon as she has stitches off, I'll arrange for flowers delivery for her from you. Thank you so well from me too. Not just from you, from us. But I'll mention you. Thank you so very much, and I'll take a picture and then I'll post it. Just Terry, what is healthcare situation in Tashkent? I've been lucky enough not to have anything major happen to me in Tashkent, so I didn't call and use free medicine. I do blood work every 6 months, and I did blood work here. Not very expensive, just a little cheaper than in Russia. If you go to a private clinic to do a complete blood work with all hormones and cholesterol and all of that, in Russia it's like vitamin D, vitamin B6, allergic stuff, everything. In Russia it's around $90 to $100. Here it's $60 to $70, something like that. So I did that twice or 3 times here. I don't remember anything happened to me. I think I went to a doctor a couple times, but I forgot what that was for. But Michael, definitely, we called him a doctor. He got sick real bad on January 1st. I had to cancel a couple streams. A private doctor came for a home visit. It was Russian. One of members of our community, Breakfast Club, medical doctor, and then he did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, Terry, I forgot. I think I went to a doctor a couple times. But the thing is, I did a eye surgery here. They did laser, whatchamacallit. They used laser in my retina. I don't remember how it's called. But anyway, it was very quality. Again, it was private. It's not state owned. I have many friends here who are doctors, and to me, access to good medicine here is not a problem. Well, at least it's accessible here. Soren Rasmussen, thank you so very much from Denmark. I had 4 cancer surgeries. After that, spread into kidney and lungs. I had immunotherapy for 12 months every 3 weeks. Last week, I was at control check. The cancer is all gone. My friend, I'm so happy for you. Hallelujah. Good we have healthcare here in Denmark. My dad had cancer in 2004, colon cancer. And he had a surgery done in Rostov. We found him the best surgeon there is in Rostov, and he did surgery very successfully. And my father also took chemo for like 3 or 4 times sessions. He was taking it for also a year or so, but not as often, not every 3 weeks. And he was cancer-free for the rest of his life. So I'm so glad for you. It's fantastic news. Last week, that must have been quite the news, I'm very happy. You made my day. Thank you. Mag saying love this community. Thank you so much. Paul Gilbert, just enjoying a cup of Yorkshire Gold right now. Milk, of course, I am British. Never milk here. Just no sugar, no lemon, no milk. Just, black tea. Yorkshire Gold is my favorite tea, but unfortunately, the closest place I can find and buy it is Dubai. And I don't go there often. So what I can buy here is a range of Twinings and Taylor's at Harrogate, but not Yorkshire Gold, okay? Great stuff. Great, absolutely great stuff. KG1, any updates on the upcoming election and also the incursion by partisans into Russia? Well, the incursion is happening right now, as far as I understand. I will cover that soon, and definitely will be covering elections on Thursday, because it's, the end of the election day. The elections are already going on in Russia. Everything is really going according to the plan. No news. And the last day will be the 17th. So I will make an update on the 15th and perhaps on the 17th. So thank you, KG1. Jukes D, thank you again. Thank you so much for another super chat. Florian, all the best to those who suffer from cancer, and congratulations to those that survived, as my wife did survive. She was treated here in Germany. It was great. Best greetings to Konstantin family. Florian, thank you so much. Danke schön. And I'm so happy to hear for your wife, because every cancer cured is a miracle in my eyes, and it's just another proof that life is so much more than we think of it. Thank you, and my regards to your wife. Carolis Stanius, thank you so much. Vilnius in house, Vilnius online. Regarding these topics you discuss in these videos, did it ever end up with any broken bridges with relatives and close ones back in Russia? I saw. How did you deal with that? Did it ever end up with any broken bridges with relatives and close ones in Russians? I'm not sure I understand. End up with any broken bridges with relatives and... broken bridges. Okay, I understand. Burned bridges. Good question. It's a tough one too. Used to be more tough. Now I'm much more calm. This is very sad. That's one of the saddest things. You see that shit, that freaking clown, he split, he destroyed Russian society. He put a chasm into it, okay? On the day 2, the first time I streamed, where I promised, I said, look, I give myself a promise and I give God a promise. I'm gonna stream every single day until this, I didn't know how to call it, war, whatever, it's over. And I thought it would be over much sooner. And that was my first stream. I was very emotional. It's still out there. The second stream, I remember it clearly, as if it happened yesterday. It was called Cancel Culture, introduced in Russia. Dirk, Lorna, Mami, you must remember that. I couldn't believe my eyes. I saw a chasm appeared and started growing in Russian society on day 2 of this war. And it started with Facebook, because obviously I was sitting home and I was looking at everything I could find. So at Facebook, some people we know, me and Natasha, we know tons of people, tons of friends. And they started saying, well, look, This is insane. This is a crime. You can't bomb Ukraine. You gotta stop doing it now. And some people started saying, wait a second. What, you don't support the government? And it was not very dramatic back then, but I saw the chasm. I saw it appeared. It's like, the earthquake happened and you see a crack in the road, and it's going to go further and further. And it happened with me too. It happened, some friends, I don't speak anymore. Fortunately, none of family members in this situation. Unfortunately, I do have some friends that I've cut the bridges with. I don't speak to them anymore. And you know what? Honestly, I don't have any desire to do that. They're not my friends anymore. How do I deal with that? Not good. I mean, put yourself into my shoes. How would you deal with that? It hurts. But it is what it is. So I hope I answered your question. How would I deal with it? The worst thing, I'll continue, the worst thing is to act as if nothing happened. I'm not that kind of person. Anywhere I go, anyone I speak with, I make myself clear what I stand for, what I stand against, and I demand answer. I demand to know what person I speak with stands for. Okay? No BS here. People at the Breakfast Club, they know I'm a nice guy, but not when it comes to supporting Z stuff and war. And anyone who comes from to have breakfast at our Breakfast Club, usually there's a tradition. A new person. We have fewer new people now, but back then, every single day, a few new people would show up. And I asked everyone to stand up and introduce themselves, to say where they came from, which city, what they do for a living, and by all means, what is their stand. And I actually kicked out 2 people at the Breakfast Club because they supported the war. Okay. Out of 1,000. We just had 2. So I make myself very clear, and I demand others to be clear with me. And if they say that the support, they're not my friends anymore. Again, it hurts. It's like a surgery. You got to do it, but you do it. I need more tea after that. Sending love to Vilnius, by the way. Place I've never been to. Philip Blair, why did those 2 want to be there? Left because they were scared of mobilization. One said, if it wasn't for the risk of them taking me and sending it to the front lines, I'd never leave Russia because I have no problem with Russia doing in Ukraine. And I said, out. And everyone didn't know me back then because we're all like strangers. Now some people know me in the Breakfast Club very well, okay? We've become very good friends. But back then, no one knew me. But I remember everyone kind of paused and they looked at me with awe, and most looked with admiration for what I said, because, it takes guts to do that, to put the person on the spot and, kick him out. And the second one, I forgot the circumstances, but I remember one. One was ambulance driver. Not really educated guy, and he showed up once, and then basically I kicked him out. And the second one was also here because he was afraid of being mobilized. And I was not as rude with him. He was more mellow, but I asked him not to come back to our group anymore. Jonathan Clark, thank you so much for sponsoring gift of membership, for giving gift of membership to 5 people. Thank you so much. Sam K for popcorn. I need plenty of that. Thank you, friend. Trust me, I have popcorn of this size. And we're just discussing at the breakfast, and I keep telling everyone, hey, I'm monitoring. I'm just watching what's happening in Russia. And oh, how can you say that? It hurts. Yes, it does hurt. But hey, this is what I do. I have my popcorn, and thank you very much, Sam K. Another interesting thing I noticed, it's a phenomena. I'm becoming more numb to what's happening there. Perhaps it's my psychological defense reaction, I don't know, but I am becoming more numb. Tina, what you say to Russians who don't support the war but press Ukraine to make negotiations? Every person is different. Every person is different, and you need to approach every person differently. Depending on, you see, everyone stands differently, okay? I know some people who cannot stand Putin, but they support the war. I know some people who like Putin, they don't like war, and things like that. So that's always different. SF Joe, good to see you, friend. Long time no see. Thank you so much. You are also very appreciated as a part of Inside Russia. Where have you been? Colorado, Art F. Howdy, friend. Do some snowboarding for me, will you? Veronica, are people still laying flowers for Navalny? Yes, they are. By tons. Sponsors are legends. Thank you, Dave. They are. They are. Lorna, mommy, we're gonna have 2 more minutes, and that's it. I'm watching the time. I remember Nightbot is not here. I'm looking for a different service now. So we have Leslie Playfair, Christina. Christina, good to see you. Long time no see. Now you're a sponsor of a channel. Dave C. Steve Hayes. Carolis. This is the hard part I don't feel people talk about. The split and broken friendships because of this. Well, Carolis, I have pledged to talk about Russia. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And you're right, that's pretty ugly, and it's pretty painful. But you know what? There are no topics that I don't speak about. If I find them pressing, if I find them pressing some strings in here, I talk about them. And this definitely, I want to be honest with you. As you ask me a question, and I give you a very straight answer. And yes, it does suck on many occasions, because you just have a friend, you colleague, person you speak to, and bada bing, bada boom, and no more. Leitmotiv for me, that guy was a hypocrite. You know how many hypocrites I've seen? Ho ho. Christina, I wonder what people who need dialysis are doing. Hey, that's another big issue. I forgot to mention that. Dialysis is no more, at least in many places. I was just discussing with Natasha a couple days ago. If you can do dialysis, that's basically a death verdict. You're gonna die in a couple days. Well, I guess they're gonna die. Dirk and everyone, look, I have not sang the birthday song, for a long time. Is this just me missing people's birthdays here, or does like not too many people? Like I don't even remember what was last time. Dave Strains, you know what? Days like that in Russia every single day now. I'm making a video on oil refineries being hit and what's happening at oil refineries industry, oil refining every day now. Air Force every day now. Industrial facilities every day now. Everything's going according to Putin's plan. Don't forget that. Carlis Adams comments to recent Free Russia actions. It's still developing. I haven't seen much of it today. I don't know what to discuss and comment. I'm not informed yet. Bob, Lorna, can you check? See, well, I know what's happened. Anyway, Bob, it's I'll email you today explaining what's going on. Jonathan Clark, thank you so much for coming. Scott, thanks for asking everyone to hit the like button. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Christina, will anything happen to people who don't vote? Yes, bad things will happen to them, at least to some of them, and I will tell you more about it day after tomorrow, because tomorrow World's News, as seen from Russia. I'm doing that. You mean Russian employees smoking, which is followed by a bang bang. Palvia flex, that's pretty much what I meant, yes. Jua, sorry about that. Bakerstock again. This is currently happening. I don't know what to discuss as of yet. What to comment. Let me just give a day, and then I'll definitely have an opinion on that. Greatest mods ever, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I think so too. John Elrod. Was there every day in the past 1,000 years where a portion of Russian Federation was really a part of Ukraine? Was there every day in the past 1,000 years where a portion of Russian Federation was really a part of Ukraine? Well, Russian Federation is fairly new. Russian Federation was born in 1991, and then the borders of all post-Soviet countries were fixed, carved in stone, so to speak, that Russia broke that stone. I don't really understand the question. I'm sorry. The history of Russia before is Russian Empire and then a bunch of different small sovereign states and so forth. Shabla, thank you for becoming a sponsor. I apologize if I misspell the name. I'm pretty terrible at names, but thank you. And thank you very much for sponsoring 5 people. Much appreciated from me and from 5 people. And thank you. Kevin Baker is a sponsor for 6 months. Thank you so very much. It seems like not too many people watch the videos lately. I don't know why, but it happens once in a while. Thank you. Friends, it's time to wrap it up, and I would like to ask everyone to join me in prayer. I finish every single stream with a prayer. Thank you so much for coming. Let's pray. Let's send good wishes to people, good energy, good vibes. You can call it whatever you want. If you don't like to call it a prayer, it does not really matter for me. So please join me. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for the life that you have given us, for this day that you have given us. Thank you for the food that you placed on our tables and roofs you've given over our heads. Thank you for the loved ones, for people for surrounding us with people who love us and who we love. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful, and raise our children in a way that when they grow up and become adults, they will make this place a better world. We'll never fight in any wars. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people responsible and capable of making that decision. Fill their hearts with love, mercy, empathy, forgiveness. Make their hearts softer so they make this decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help the Ukrainians who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please help my country. Assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael, and send them to this earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. We know them by their faces and by their names. Please help your angels get rid of them, and help your angels to help good Russian people run Russia, make it peaceful, loving, and respecting. Dear Lord, please help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels. Everyone who is in trouble of any kind, send them safety. Help everyone who is applying for asylum, running away from evil. Help single mothers who are struggling raising their children and trying to make ends meet. Help those who are helping Ukrainians. God bless them. Help the Ukrainians who are under attack or threat of attack from Russian missiles or Russian weapon. Please keep them safe. Dear Lord, please help the hungry, the homeless, the jobless, the sick, the depressed, the broken, the betrayed, the ones who are not happy about themselves, who are not happy with their lives, with themselves, the ones who are in trouble, the ones who are lost, the ones who feeling lonely. Please fill everyone's heart with love and have them feel you standing right next to them, right behind them, and helping in every move they make. Have them feel you, and that will make their lives so much happier. They will understand they are not alone. They will understand you've never left them. They just don't feel you. Please have them feel you. Have them feel your love. Father, do it. Their lives will be so much happier with you right next to them and them feeling it. Dear Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to come together and in this community and pray together. Thank you for everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's dream come true, everyone's wish come true. Thank you. I would like to mention a few people. They need your help and assistance and love and attention. They are Mammy Kay and her mother, Jeffrey S. and his daughter Gemma, Marie Doran, Redmond Half-Breed, Natalia Blaga, Eric Quinn, Warren Spees, Jay Spike, Tracy, James Marston, Gabing with Gary, Frank in Texas, Jim in Houston, Frank Caprio, Tracy, Kareno's mom Dorothy, Paula W., Tim Mayers, Larry B., Colleen's dad, Dominic, Richard, Olga, Alexei, Jason Carney, please send full recovery, Sandra Dunn, Susie Mailer, Kyle E.'s wife, Rhonda McGillis, Morgan L., and Larson's daughter Hannah, Electron's family, Kurt, John, Deborah, Bogey Berger and 2 sons, Mike O'Neill, Dave, Don, Wayne, Leslie Fleming, daughter of Taylor, Buzz Salmon, Julia Haney. Thank you for helping Yorkie's mom, Liz Dumbrell, Darla, George Ruberty. Thank you for helping him and keeping him strong and entering his life again. White Lightning, Natasha, Yelena, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Michael, Randolph, Grace Philosophy, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church, Liz, Karen, the Highwayman, David Porter, his family and everyone from Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Meta Spencer, Pamela J, Leif, Stefan from Sweden, and I would like to ask for a little girl, Sarah, needs your help, needs recovery, needs miracle, and her family needs miracle. Please send her recovery and give her family strength. Please help all the children who have been affected by the tragedy that's happening in Ukraine. Send angels to every single one and help. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for praying. Thank you for being this community. Not a part of this community, but you truly are the community. Mods, again, thank you so much. You all rock.